Hi everybody, I'm Bruce Black, Horticulture Educator with the University of Illinois Extension, here with a horticulture update for you. So, one thing that we can do when we're all itching to get out and garden, but the weather may not be cooperating. Like today, it's snowing outside a little bit. And so, one thing we can do is work with our indoor plants. And so today we're going to talk about two types of succulents that we've got here. We've got sempervivums and we've got agavarias. Both of these are indoor plants that we can use during the winter months indoors, and then transplant them outdoors during our growing season for us to get better growth with them. So these I received in the mail. I did mail order for these from a local wholesaler, but you could get them from your local garden center or big box store as well. And when I got these, they did not have the new growth that they've had, but by just sitting under the window here for the last week, you can see that there's a lot more growth that we've got here with them really starting to take over. One thing to let you guys know, if you mail order your plants, you want to soak them into the sink for about 15 minutes, filled up halfway. So we would take our tray, put it in the sink, fill it up about halfway with water for 15 minutes, and then let it drain for another 15 minutes, and that'll fully rehydrate them. With our echavaria here, the major problem that they're gonna have is going to be poor watering habits. So this could either be, in most cases, it's going to be overwatering. These hate to be overwatered. Succulents are going to be adapted for desert climates, and so the less water you give them, the more they're gonna like it. One thing to note though is with your echavaria, if you have a plug like I do here and it's dry to the touch, these definitely need to be watered. The other thing you'll start to notice is that either the leaves will start to fall off like this one just did when I picked it up, or you'll see some wilting or shriveling of the leaves. When that happens, they're definitely running out of water. But one of the cool things about succulents is all of these leaves are really fleshy and big, and they're all full of water. And so with this succulent here, I've had two pieces that have fallen off. And so what's really cool about these is plants have the ability of totipotency, which means that they can start to regrow what is missing when they're in the proper conditions. And so I can let these two leaves callus over right there, so kind of develop like a scab that we do, and for about 5 to 7 days. And then I can go ahead and stick these into a container of soil like we would have here. And so I can just put those in there. And with them growing, or with the moisture in there, they will begin rooting. Once they've re-rooted, then I can transplant them to their own container and they'll start regrowing a new succulent. All right, so next thing we're gonna do is talk about how we can pot up our succulents. And so I've got 3 different containers here that we could potentially use. So here's our example that I just showed with putting our plants in there. And this has a sempervivum, or a hens and chick, that I potted up. And because I didn't like just the plain terracotta color of this plastic pot, I threw a sticker on there. Being a teacher, you've always got stickers, or if you've got kids at home, you've definitely got plenty of stickers. Another thing with these plastic pots is if you do have kids at home, give them a marker and let them draw all over this, decorate the pot how they want, and it'll give that personal touch for your plant. Main thing to think about with our containers here is to make sure that they have drainage holes in the bottom. So on our pre-made or pre-purchased pots, they've got plenty of holes here in the bottom for drainage. And that's going to be key for our succulents. With this clay pot here, this is one that I found at a thrift store, and it did not have any drainage holes in it. So I just took a drill and put 6 to 8 holes in the bottom. And when drilling on a clay pot, it's always a good idea to go slow rather than fast, because you don't want to crack the pot if you be too forceful. And then the other thing I like to use is food containers. So many of us have went to a restaurant and left with some kind of food container. Well, these containers, you can actually buy these at stores, and they're perfect for repotting new plants or starting seeds, or using your fruit containers as reusables. If you have had any food in these, use a 10% bleach solution to completely wash them out. That bleach will kill off any of the bacteria, and let them dry before planting. Since this is a food service container and it doesn't have any drainage holes, what I went ahead and did is I took my scissors, or you can also use a screwdriver, and just tap through the bottom with the scissors. Always be careful. Put it flat on the surface and just poke down. And you can see it creates a little hole right there for your drainage. So on a container this size, because it has an raised center, I did it on the outside, and I've got 4 holes for drainage. Cool tip about the lid, you can use this underneath as a way to catch that water so it's not over draining. So for our planting, for a pot this size, I would say you can take 4 to 5 of your succulents to put in there. So when I start off with my container, I kind of want to think about how I want it to look. Is it going to be something where you can see from all sides, or is it going to be up against a wall so you only have to worry about the front? So for this one, I think I'm going to take this nice tall red one right here and put that in the middle. So to plant this, you want to make sure that entire plug is planted to the soil line, and you just put that in there and press it gently in. Depending on your use, for this one, I think I'm going to use it as a centerpiece, so I'm going to plant around the outside. So I'm going to come over here to our sempervivums, which definitely have a unique variety of textures associated with them. You can see some of them, of the hens and chicks, have gone and started producing the webbing that they do. So that's going to be a nice example for us to use. Help accent some of the red colors we've got. This one is actually 2 succulents that have been planted together, but I like that look. You can separate these apart and use them separately. And since I'm doing this all around, I'm going to mirror it. So I'll take another one of our sempervivums that has the webbing on top, and you can see that this is one that has started to produce new foliage out of it. And then one more red. All right. And so with that, you just get to simply decide how you want to do this. Do you want to have your reds off to the side and then have your green webbed like that? Or do you want to do them side by side? This is all up to you. For me, I'm going to do mine across from each other. So I'm going to put the reds across and simply just using my finger to make a hole big enough for the pot or for the succulent. And then taking some of our extra soil here and just filling in our container. And this is definitely one of those activities where it's good to get your fingers into the potting soil and have a little fun. Now, obviously, I planted these a little bit close, and this is going to be for the stage that they're currently at. Once these start to get a little bit bigger, I'll separate out the pot and divide them up. That's for a multi-container. If we were going to just do our little container here, we can just take our standard potting soil, available at any garden center, especially now that spring is kicking up. And then for this one, I'm feeling a little pastel and pink. So simply putting that in the middle. If you wanted to put things around here to fill this in, you could add some fairy decorations or some moss around here. Would definitely help fill in this dish a little bit more. And simply just put your water catcher underneath and then just lightly water this in. And another trick here, so that you don't have to water it in as much, is when you're prepping your soil for your containers, add a little moisture in here and pre-moisten that. And so then you don't have to add as much when you put your containers together. So now that you guys have learned a few tips and tricks on planting succulents in containers, I hope you all have happy gardening and enjoy the spring.